All right. Hello. Welcome to the Halloween podcast number 1?
Question mark? Yeah.
This is Lex. Lex, tell them what you do.
I am a writer. I am a creative executive in my day-to-day. And I was not an intern at Funhouse. I've just been an intern at a whole bunch of other places.
Everybody in chat's like, you're an intern at Funhouse?
Oh my God,
No,
how was
no,
that? I was not. No, I was an intern at Lionsgate and Millennium and Blumhouse, all within the same 5-day work week, which I don't recommend for most humans. But it was, it really taught me about, film development and what it was like to tell stories. And so that's my thing. I've always been a storyteller. And now we are here to tell you a spooky story.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that,
yeah.
I have more questions for you, Lex, or at least chat does. I guess, what would you say your first love is? Is it acting? Is it writing? Is it being a development executive? What do you think it is?
Oh, I mean, like, my bank account says executive, but my heart says writer.
I thought so.
Yeah. So I was always too fat to be an actress, and I was like, oh, writing is actually the next best thing because you get to be a multitude of voices on the page, and that's really what acting is at the end of the day. And don't worry, Mr. Wolf, I will scare you.
I know. See, everybody wants to be scared. Don't worry, get in there.
Well, yeah.
We got to give you some context to Lex first.
And I normally establish a safe word with people because I do talk a lot. And but at the end of the day, writing was always my passion, and I grew up in a small Abercrombie and Bitch suburb right outside of Philadelphia where everyone was very pretty, and that traumatized me from a very young age. And I never in my entire life thought I would ever, live in Hollywood. And then
You're here now.
And now I'm here,
You
and
did it. What is it like?
It's super surreal. I'm waiting for the day when I wake up and I'm like, oh no, this is actually my life. Does that ever happen to you?
It does. Every single day. I mean, like today when I was playing GTA, I was like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this, to sit here and make basically make believe on GTA. It's awesome. It's really, really fun.
I'm from Glen Mills, or it's around Aston.
That's in Philadelphia?
I'm from Delco, and I went to Drexel.
People may know.
Yeah. Well, someone asked me which Philly suburb, and
JP did.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions for Lex at all, please put them in the chat.
Yeah.
It's sort of a way to introduce her to you. Have you ever streamed on Twitch before?
I have not. This is all very new to me.
Yeah.
Bruce has been great and consistently teaching me new wonderful things.
Oh, well, that's good.
How did we
meet?
We met, I reached out to Bruce because...
It was 2017?
Yeah, it was the summer of 2017, and I was writing, and I was all freaked out because I was like, well, how do I do these things? And so my husband introduced me to the wonderful world of YouTube, because when I first came out here, I am deep in my heart a 54-year-old woman, so I prefer to watch network television, lots of Law and Order.
Like CSI and all that.
Oh my God!
You love it.
Absolutely, yes.
You love it.
All of the marathons on USA, Characters Welcome, and when I moved out here, I didn't have cable or television, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do with the 2 hours of free time I have every day? And my husband Connor would watch Funhouse and Achievement Hunter. And I was like, I don't like video games. And then I realized, oh, that doesn't matter. I'm watching this for the people.
No, that was the point. That was the point of Funhouse, was that we didn't we like video games, obviously, but we wanted to make funny videos that are funny to anybody. So
Yeah. Well, and so that's what I really connected to. And I think that's why I actually ended up connecting more to Funhouse than any of the other Let's Play channels. Because it was more about the group mentality, and you guys knew exactly what your audience was looking for. And to me, that piqued my lizard brain, where my executive brain and my writer brain had come together to make, well, what stories do people care about, and how do I make people care about them? And you guys had kind of mastered that. And so I basically just reached out to be how does that work? If I want to make stuff, how do I make stuff? Because I've never been a production person, and Bruce gave me just some wonderful advice. And then...
What did I say?
Well, basically...
I don't remember.
The thing was that you're well, first off, find people who want to make stuff. And then make stuff with them. And I kind of just sat there and was like, that seems so obvious.
It
and
does,
I stared into the abyss for a while. But it was this honesty about if you're passionate about something, you're going to figure it out. And the internet is a giant hole that is constantly looking for content.
It really is.
If you want to make something, go ahead and make it.
Yeah.
And, like you have an opportunity to figure out your brand and what you want to make. And because that all really, freaked me out because I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be an internet person? And then I never became an internet person. But I did
you still can.
I still can. But I took all of that advice and applied it to my writing, where I was like, oh, there's really no excuse for me to not just write all of this stuff that's jammed inside of my brain, like Legos and the wrinkles of that gray matter.
Yeah.
And I pumped out some really great ideas. Like I wrote a digital series about 4 handicapped individuals surviving the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's really cool.
What's more terrifying than not being able to run from the zombies?
Yeah. And
when I finally landed at like a movie studio, I, reached back out to Bruce and was like, hey, you guys create so much content every week. There's no way that you haven't written something. And I opened up a development conversation with these guys.
Yeah, and that was like 6 months ago?
Maybe
a little less than that?
Yeah.
So Lex, you and I have known each other for a little over 2 years, I would say. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I see a bunch of people asking sort of kind of, I saw
I'm still learning to read this. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I can read it. How do you prioritize ideas when making stories? This is a great, Lex, in my opinion, Lex is a storyteller. It's what you do. Yeah. Like you write and you tell stories in person, but also on the page. You're really good at it, and it's one of those things that I'm not good at when it comes to actually telling the story. I feel like I'm not the best storyteller in the world. So how do you know where to start, know where your middle is, and know where your end is?
I get real excited about things.
Okay, that's good.
And so my professor back in the day told me, don't put too many pots on the stove that it burns your house down. And I accidentally never believed that. So my whole thing is that I will write something, and when I get stuck, I'll just leave that world for another. Mm-hmm. And then once I'm futzing around elsewhere, I can basically, figure out that problem that got me stuck.
Okay.
Because a lot of the characters that I create and a lot of the worlds that I'm in are things that I will never get to experience myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't I want to hang out there and hang out with those people?
Yeah. That makes, I think you're probably the best person to know that world because it's in your head.
Precisely. And I think when it comes to prioritization, it's more along the lines of what do you want to complete and why?
Yeah.
If you are a writer, if you're a creator in any capacity, deadlines are extremely important, I think, because it forces you to take responsibility for things. Because maybe you can speak to this, but as a creator, you're not going to disappoint anyone but yourself if you don't write something down.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it can be hard when you don't have a teacher or a boss being like, if you don't get me this by blah, then there's going to be consequences. But if you're just I already hate myself, and I'm already pretty disappointed in myself. What's one extra thing? And that's the title of my autobiography. So
yeah. Well, honestly, the best creators that I know are the ones that are self-motivated. They're the ones that can actually get shit done.
Yeah.
And even if they're run into some sort of writer's block or whatever, they just plow through it, and they're just you know what? I got to get something on the page. And they get something on the page, and then they come away from it. Now, regardless of whether or not it's really good, mm-hmm. or if it's only okay or whatever else, they still have it.
Yeah.
And they can revise and make it better, and other people can make it better. They can collaborate with other people. I don't know. That's really, really hard to do.
Yeah. Well, that was, again, part of your advice where it was you're not going to know if an idea is good until you do it.
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely not. Never. That's why I love Twitch and YouTube, is because you can, tonight, we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, well, why don't we just stream a spooky story that you've written? We'll call it a Halloween podcast, and we'll kind of do a few leading up to Halloween and see if people like it. So that's why we're here, Twitch.
Yeah. Depshep, if deadlines trip you up, I actually suggest using a program called Asana. It's a free program, and basically it will be hey, you have this deadline coming up, and if you check things off, you get little a narwhal or a yeti that will pop up and congratulate you on your success.
That's fun.
But it's something that's helped me because I've created development charts and schedules that I will be hardcore into for about 2 days, and then as soon as I close that document, I've forgotten it exists. So, but for me, someone who cannot have, notifications like on emails or anything like that, if I get an email that I have to do something, it like clicks in my brain. I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I saw somebody's good question.
Okay.
They were asking if they were to find you on the internet, how would they find you? Like Twitter? Do you have links to your work? Like, how does that work?
I don't have Twitter because, as I was telling Bruce, or actually all of you earlier, I'm a 54-year-old woman deep down.
Right, yeah.
But on the internet, I have a website. It's just my name, lexfusco.com. And then my Instagram is mostly just pictures of my cat, Big Dummy.
True. Yeah, that's right.
But that's the right kind of wrong.
But it's right is spelled WRITE.
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
So it's LEXXFUSCO.com, right?
Yes.
Lex Fusco, yeah.
Yes. It took me weeks to come up with it, and I was so happy that I had finally chose something that really encompasses all of that. But on there, it's mostly just like
there it is. Thank you, Kisman. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they got the link.
You're great. Never change.
Yeah.
So, fun sad fact, I was this many days old when I found out that my mom, her name is Lisa Fusco. Lisa Fusco is also an Italian porn star. So
I didn't know that.
I was doing research. I'm doing a movie about my mom.
I'm sure that somebody in chat knew that.
Okay.
I'm sure they knew.
I was like, that's not
Don't lie.
something.
Nobody lie about that.
That's not something that I wanted today, and that's what I had today. So, if this doesn't scare you, then that alone should.
No, we don't have a link to her mom because that's not her mom.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not her mom. Jeez, chat so dirty already. It's only been like 15 minutes.
It's 12 minutes and 42 seconds according to
Yeah.
that kind man who told us.
Yeah. So, any other questions for Lex? I'm trying to think of other questions I can ask you. Have you? Okay, this is a good question. Have you written anything that has made it to the television screen, the movie screen, the internet screen, anything?
Nothing to the television or the movie screen yet.
You're on your way.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I wrote a short based off of a feature that I wrote that I couldn't get past page 72 because everyone was dead by page 68. It was called Victim. My late friend Larry Brand directed it, and it's your classic spooky story about a serial killer breaks into a woman's house to play a game of cat and mouse, and the tables get tabled when he realizes that no matter how bad you think you are, there's always something bigger, stronger, and so much worse.
Okay. All right.
I'm a big believer in that concept.
Cool. Do you believe in going with traditional academia to start a writing career? That's a good question.
Well, something that I learned while I was at Drexel, there were 9 screenwriting majors, and only about 7 of us, 7 out of those 9 people didn't actually want to write.
Wow.
And the problem is that they just either had one idea that they blew their whole payload on early on, or it was more of like, I just want to work in the movie business, and I'm scared of cameras. I think if you're going to be a writer, you're going to figure it out. Here's a controversial opinion for you. I think writing is a lot like athletic ability, where it is something you are born with, like a creative kind of thing where you can generate ideas. You have voices in your head, not like the scary kind, but like is similar to how like you have an athlete who, you can get someone jacked and get them to run fast and jump high, but if they don't have that like innate ability to communicate with their team, to have that like drive to keep going, like they're always just going to be an okay athlete. It's the same thing with any kind of creative, where it's like you can teach someone how to draw, you can teach someone grammar and mechanics and give them writing prompts, but unless it's something that's like, in your head.
Yeah.
So, Drexel is a great program. I will always rep them. But also it's just, all about getting people to read your stuff and write the stuff down. Yeah.
That's the one thing that I wanted to say to chat was that it's really hard to get to a spot where you're at. So like being a development executive who's reading 30 scripts a week.
Oh my God, yeah.
Who's reading 30 scripts a week and like basically like greenlighting movies and like greenlighting television shows. That's really, really hard to do. That's extremely hard to get to that position. And it's one of those things that I've always been like super impressed. I was like, wow, Lex, like you've gotten really, really far with this. And I feel like this is nowhere near the end for you. Obviously, you're just gonna keep going.
Sometimes I'm terrified I've peaked at 24, but
it's one of those things where to me it's like I feel the same way. So
there are 2 really good questions in here. The first one I'll answer just real quick. Ready or Not was my favorite movie of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much fun. Aliens is also a really fun one for me because it's a horror action movie. And then Cabin in the Woods, obviously.
Cabin in the Woods is
an
like,
absolute
that's one of my favorites.
For.
That is one of my favorites, like, in terms of horror ever.
Oh, yeah, because the thing is that it really, like, Shaun of the Dead is also a great example. It lulls you into a false sense of security with the laughs, so when the scares and the emotionally eviscerating parts happen, they hit you even harder. Yeah. But then someone else asked a really good question, and I believe it was for you, which was, what was the difference for you going from someone who manages creatives to being the creative?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird switch because originally I was a creative. So like when I first started at G4, I was producing, so I was creating something there, and I was being managed, but I didn't have to manage anybody. So it was pretty great because I just sort of would come in, and obviously you have people like that inject their own voices into what you're making. That's just part of being a creative. That's the way it goes. But you feel like pretty self-contained. So the longer I stayed at Inside Gaming and Funhouse, the less I was able to do that. The less I was able to actually be a creative.
Yeah.
The more I had to just manage people and manage creatives. And I think that's eventually what caused me to be like, hey, I want to just go back to being a creative, which is what I'm doing here. And because I've seen comments that are always like, man, I can't believe you quit Funhouse to stream. And I was like, well, no, that's not exactly what I did. I quit Funhouse to go and do something creative, and that's what this is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason I did that.
I also really liked your Next, and then I saw Ready or Not, and then I was like, well, damn it.
It's a better version of it?
It is, but only because, so your Next is I believe Adam Wingard's first movie to direct, and he makes a lot of really weird choices, but you can actually feel that it was actually probably money that made him make those choices. Like
okay.
While Ready or Not, everything that it did extremely well. Especially in like the horror genre, you have people constantly trying to flip things on their heads, and most of the time just ripping the head off. And it's like, sweetie, this works this way for a reason, and it's because it works. And in Ready or Not and things like Your Next and Cabin in the Woods, which wasn't necessarily a parody, it was more of like an aware horror movie, where you have, these are the mechanics that work. We're going to do them exactly how they're supposed to work, but really well. And then the things that we're going to change just enough where you can identify them as things that you're like, oh, I understand what you're doing here. And also just the performances. Adam Brody had the most character development I've ever seen in my entire life since like Yondu from Guardians 2, which is pretty rad. Yeah.
I saw a good question actually.
Okay.
That said, what are some roadblocks to getting projects greenlit? And that's actually a major question that I have. I always wonder.
Well, so it all depends on who's doing the greenlighting and whose money is behind it. So a big struggle bus that a lot of studios and distributors are having right now is, how do we get people to go to the movies, blow a metric ton of money, and spend 2.5 hours in a cramped space watching a movie? And the idea is, well, what is a story that's distinct enough to get that to happen? So when you have a movie like Ready or Not, that is a movie that could have been done, that was done for under $10 million. It had a $6 million budget with no-name actors, all basically one location, and they released it at a point in time where they knew they weren't going to have any competition. They released it, late in the summer where there aren't really any horror movies or anything that fun. And they waited, they did it earlier than It because they knew that It was going to be the horror attraction of 2019. Yeah. But the thing that normally keeps things from getting greenlit is, can we get cast on it and can we get a director on it? Because a director is going to bring the cast on. It's actually a lot of petty high school bullshit. Yeah, no, it's great. Because there are times I will read a script that I will give my left kidney to make, and that's the kidney that works. Yeah. And I'm like, and then I pitch it to my boss or pitch it to my team, and they'll be like, well, that's a lot like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, blah, blah, blah made a metric ton of money. Right. What are you doing?
People want to see more of it, yeah.
So, and a friend of mine, I went to go see Annabelle. The
third one, right?
Yes. Yeah. I have paid to see every Annabelle in theaters, and every time my heart gets a little more broken because I didn't like any of them. And my husband's like, why are we going? You're going to hate it. I'm like, no, it's going to be different this time.
You think it's going to be good every time?
Oh my gosh. Because, like, I love period horror. I would die for Patrick Wilson, not to be dramatic, but, so it's so weird because this trilogy, actually, with every movie, they get smaller, which is normally the opposite of what happens. And I went in and I made, like, a Snapchat to some peeps, and I was like, I went and saw Annabelle, and now I'm sad. And my friend Snapchatted me back, oh, well, that's the problem with Hollywood now. Like, it's all remakes and reboots and sequels.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, Dan, when was the last movie you paid to see in theaters? And if your answer is Avengers Endgame, then you should shut up.
Of course it was, yeah.
Because a lot of people don't go to the theater to see original content anymore. They will wait until it comes on a streamer or on Redbox or another thing, because people are like, why would I watch it in theaters and I can watch it on Netflix for free? And I'm like,
it's a safe bet. That's
someone's paying for your Netflix. Just because it's not you doesn't mean it's free.
Well, yeah, no, but see, the thing is that people do that because it's not a safe bet. So if they're going to see a movie that they've never heard of or they don't know any properties about, whatever, then it's not a safe bet for them. So there's no way they're going to spend $50 going to the movie, spending 2.5 hours in the theater, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Gotcha. And I'm sorry, I am absolutely paying attention to what you're saying.
No, I'm
just trying to read at
that's
the same
point.
time.
That's what I saw another. We're going to start swapping ghost stories here in a second. These are stories that Lex has written. Just so you know, I have nothing to do with them. I'm just reading them.
I couldn't do Midsummer. I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't know what this is supposed to be, and I know if I go and see it, I'll be like, that was 90 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
So you didn't see it?
I didn't.
I didn't see it. We were gonna go see it, and I don't know what happened. Autumn and I just didn't go. We're gonna watch it. We just haven't watched it yet.
So fun fact. Bane of the Nexus. Adam Brody and Samara Weaving actually count as no names when it comes to a wide release because Adam Brody, you know, despite being on the OC and a bad guy in Smallville many moons ago, and Samara Weaving being the poor man's Margot Robbie, which is still a very hot human being, domestically and also internationally they have no value.
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
I saw another good question that was, what was your favorite original movie of 2019 so far?
Oh, it's definitely Ready or Not.
Okay. All right. Yeah. 'Cause that is an original.
Yeah, that was an original premise that absolutely worked and made a lot of sense. And someone asked about classic horror movies. I think Halloween is good. There's nothing that I necessarily disagree about it, but a big problem is how much we've changed what people expect from the horror genre. So a lot of times people, especially when it comes from the executive side, how many jump scares are in this? And when you look at, classic horror movies, which by the way, a lot of them were garbage. I was watching Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
I don't even know what that is.
That's, A-okay.
No,
so,
I have no idea what that is.
But Hellraiser, that's a terrible movie, but I love it for all of the practical effects. The creatures are insanely cool. Pan's Labyrinth is great, but it's
well, we mean GDT's, Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
It's
but
not really a horror so much as just kind of creepy.
Yeah, but for me, the creatures are the thing that make those intriguing for me. It's not necessarily the horror elements to them. Yeah. But I think whatever freaks you out as a person is what's going to pique your lizard brain. My favorite horror movie is Insidious.
That's a scary movie.
The performances are great. You feel like the family actually cares about each other, despite the fact that 2 of those children just disappear halfway through that movie. Again, would die for Patrick Wilson, and also the soundtrack is great, despite the fact that the main antagonist and the demon looks. I don't know who got fired for that design.
I don't remember it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all. I just know that it was kind of scary. We can read. You want to read a story?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Event Horizon's. Yeah, that's a super scary movie. Not really a horror film so much.
And they've been trying to remake Event Horizon for the last 4 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And because it's practically impossible. It's something that you can't. Blumhouse could probably do, because Blumhouse can afford to have flops because they make one good movie and they make all the money back for all of their movies. Jason Blum's a genius.
What do you see? Which one do you see? Which one's good?
I just have emotions about some of the things. Oh, yes. Are You Afraid of the Dark was great. don't know how many people in here remember like Disney Channel original movies, but Don't Look Under the Bed was something that mortified me from a very young age.
Yeah, I feel like I barely remember that.
Yes, J. Lopez. Yes.
Joker. Yeah, I haven't seen Joker because I have a feeling that's exactly what it is.
That's such a masturbatory movie. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
The director literally came out and said, "I made this movie because people have gotten too PC."
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, that's not like a direct quote, but like boiled down. I saw what people said about Martin Scorsese in the podcast, and I was like, oh, people have got feelings.
Yeah, they were upset about that.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's great.
All right, you want to read it? Let's do it.
Yes.
Well, let's do the first one, and then if we've got time, we'll do another one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's called "To Whom It May Concern," and Lex wrote it.
I did.
All
right.
So we're basically just going to go back and forth. There's only 2 characters in this, and we'll just kind of be narrating as well. So like reading stage direction on and off. And this one's not like scary. It's just creepy. It's just a creepy kind of fun short story.
It's like a Twilight Zone or a Night Gallery kind of thing.
That's exactly right.
So Bruce is going to be reading for Ben, and I'm going to be reading for Lucy.
Yeah. Go for it.
All right. Interior Riddle Hospital night. Outside the windows, snow falls like flecks of broken glass against the black night sky.
Dr. Ben Harrison, chiseled and handsome, listens to a Rosetta Stone tape. German, beginner level 2. Ben is the only person in the entire urgent care. He looks around and yanks out his headphones. He makes a call, puts the phone to his ear. This is a joke. New Year's Eve is a shitty time to flex your shit sense of humor, Tom. Oh, I don't know. Please tell me how this doesn't sound like the beginning of a joke to you. Hospital's chief of staff assigns the best trauma surgeon in the country urgent care babysitting duty on New Year's Eve by himself. Come on, Tom. No one's coming in here tonight, and even if someone does, this is a nurse's or a physician's assistant's job.
The doors to the urgent care slide open.
Ben is taken off guard at first. He looks up. Holy shit, someone just came in. They better be dying. Lord knows I am. Ben hangs up the phone.
Lucy Danvers, 30s, wanders into the urgent care. She's pretty enough and looks around the urgent care with purpose. She strides up to the front desk. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Lucy. Are you a doctor?
Yes, you're in a hospital. What can I help you with?
I don't feel well.
And this is an urgent matter for the urgent care.
Would I be here on New Year's Eve if it wasn't important?
Ben takes the accidental dig with a grumble. Let's just get you checked out.
Don't I have to fill out paperwork?
Information isn't going to change after I check your vitals. Besides, any more waiting behind this desk, and I'm not going to feel well.
Lucy smiles.
Ben can't help but return a smirk. He escorts her to an exam room. Interior exam room, moments later.
Lucy sits on the exam table in a light blue gown.
Ben listens to her heartbeat with a stethoscope. Jeez.
Yeah.
You're calmer than I would have anticipated with a rattle like that. Ben loops the stethoscope back around his neck. He sits down on the stool next to the exam table, scribbles notes on his pad.
People die all the time. I'm no different.
Yeah, if that were your attitude, you wouldn't have come in, especially tonight. You're afraid to die just like everyone else.
Are you afraid to die, Ben?
Look, I'm the one with the stethoscope here, all right?
That's not a yes or a no.
Lady, my whole job is death prevention. I'm damn good at it.
If you're good at something, you shouldn't have to remind people so much.
Just look. The faster I get you a chest x-ray, the faster we both never have to make eye contact again. You definitely have pneumonia, and you probably got it.
I get pneumonia every Christmas. No need to do the x-ray. You'd need to answer my question.
Just quit interrupting me, please.
Quit dodging the question. You're a smart man, or at least that's what you tell everyone. So go on, Ben. Are you afraid to die? Lucy stares at him. Her blue eyes seem to have nothing behind them.
Ben is captivated and frightened at the same time. No, I'm not.
Liar.
How dare you?
Lady, my whole job is death prevention.
Just leave. I'll write you a prescription for albuterol inhaler and a nebulizer. Just should be filled by the 3rd. Ben scribbles the script down on his pad. He tears it off and hands it to Lucy.
Lucy doesn't move. She doesn't break eye contact with him. I didn't come here for that.
Then what did you come here for?
Lucy reaches out for the prescription. She snatches it from Ben's hands and crumples the paper between their flesh.
What the fuck?
I came here to deliver something to you. I cannot leave until you accept or deny it. Do you understand, Ben?
Jesus, let go of me.
Lucy's grip tightens.
The bones in Ben's hand start to hairline fracture.
Ben, do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Lucy releases him. She hops off the table in the same motion.
Ben cradles his hand, panting in pain.
Lucy pulls her coat down off the hook on the back of the door. She removes an envelope from the breast pocket. Lucy turns to face Ben. Dr. Ben Harrison, you really are damn good at your job. You have saved a multitude of lives and have brought a lot of good into the world, and I have a gift for you.
Tom really needs to work on his fucking sense of humor.
I don't work for Tom.
Ben cocks his head to the side in confusion.
On this piece of paper, the time, date, and manner of your death are written. You cannot change anything about it. No matter where you are, and no matter where life takes you or what you decide to do next, this is your fate.
You have pneumonia, and you're crazy.
I cannot leave until you open the letter or refuse to take it.
I can leave, though. Ben gets up from his chair. He marches out the door. The door opens again, and a confused Ben walks through. Wait, what? Ben turns back to leave, but just re-enters again. What the fuck is going on?
I'm so sorry. I should have been more clear. No one can leave until you open or deny the letter. Please feel free to keep trying, but I would like to see the ball drop.
Ben ignores her.
He continues to try to get out of the room. No matter what, he comes back to her. Sometimes through the office door. Once through the cabinet. Even at one point just appearing back in his chair.
Let me the fuck out of here.
Lucy waves the letter in front of his face.
I don't want it.
I thought you weren't afraid to die.
This is stupid. It's obviously a trick.
Sure. Would you like to try to leave again? You haven't tried jumping out the window yet. Don't.
Ben throws the stool and it smashes through the giant window. He vaults over the side and clambers from the ceiling onto the floor in front of Lucy.
Great. Hope you're better at trauma surgery than you are at common sense.
Nothing about this is common.
You can't follow basic directions?
Ben looks around at a loss. He glances at the window.
It's shattered. Giant panes of glass stick out like teeth. The snow outside is frozen in place.
Ben examines himself. No cuts or scrapes.
There's no way out of this.
Let's say I take the letter.
Lucy helps Ben off the floor. Great.
And it says I die in 20 years in the middle of the ocean. Does that make me immortal, or how does that work?
Look, I'm just here to deliver the letter. You can make all the speculations you like after you make a decision.
Ben paces.
Oh, God.
Because if it says that I'm going to die in the middle of the ocean in 20 years, that means I have to have been healthy enough to travel that far out and to have lived that long.
Maybe I shouldn't have been so snarky with you. I honestly thought this would be easier. Lucy extends the letter to him again. This is a gift. Take it or don't. Look, no one else can read it. It'll just be a blank page to anyone but you. This is your fate. You have set so many people on course for their destiny, and this is a thank you for that. I know how you feel about death, Ben.
You don't know anything.
I know everyone you care about seems to die. That's why you became a bloody surgeon. You thought if you could do something to save the lives, you could save the next person you loved. Started with your dad, then your mum, then your sister, fiancé, best friend.
Stop it, all right. Fuck.
You have 1 minute until the ball drops, Ben.
Ben's eyes flit around the room, taking it all in. He rips the note from Lucy's hand.
Lucy smiles.
Ben opens up the note. His face twists.
Happy New Year, Ben.
No. Ben grabs her.
Ben!
No! Ben smashes Lucy against the broken glass. The shards rip into her flesh. Ben pushes her down. The glass ejects through her back and chest. Blood sprays against Ben's face. Ben stumbles back. Blood drips from Ben's hands, staining the blank page on the ground. And that's it.
Thanks!
That's it. What did you guys think of that? Is this something like, I always wonder, does Twitch want this? Does Twitch want us to like do little radio dramas? Because I don't know that many people do it. Oh, see, look, got a few claps.
Aw.
Somebody's got a boner.
But, bruh, this is so cool.
Yeah, good. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed it.
Intriguing.
More. They want more. We have another one we can do. This is. I feel like this stuff is great for Halloween time.
Yeah, and so fun fact, I actually learned how to speak with this voice when I was a very, very young child, and for a very long time my brain actually really tried to mimic people when they spoke, and so actually when I did Whispered Faith, this was the voice I decided to do.
It's really good.
And people were heartbroken to hear that this is what I actually sounded
like. Oh, like that's your real voice?
Yeah, we did like an Omegle thing, and I was like, hi, and people were like, what? And I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So I'm good just talking. I'm good with what this is your show. What do you want to do?
This is just something like I told them. I wanted to experiment with just a few people and see kind of what they thought. So yeah, and that's good. We'll read another one. Let's read another one.
Okay, great.
Let's see how this plays out. I'm reading Black and Yellow, correct?
Yes, Black and Yellow.
All right.
And then the one so for Richard, you can read this or do it.
Got it. Understood.
So this is actually a little different. So the first, To Whom It May Concern was a short, so it's a script, and then Run Hide is on the floor now, and Run Hide is a short story. So there's a lot more words.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Then let's do it. Let's read it.
All right.
This one's scarier, I think.
This one's definitely disturbing.
Yeah, this one, I like this one.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Are there any accents in this that we get?
No, there can always be accents, sir. But no, we'll see when we get there.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. This is Run Hide. Again, this is by Lex. So. All right. The Storybrooke housing development is full of lifeless and dark model homes for the model American family. Quaint, modest houses with 3.5 floors: basement, first floor, second floor, attic. A large sign lit up by lights advertises houses for sale. Move into Storybrooke and begin your fairy tale 2019. A slightly dinged up white 2002 Hyundai Elantra pulls up to the only home with lights on. A soccer ball and a small plastic goal sits on the mowed lawn. In the car, Carrie Thompson, cute in the sheepish Velma-like body, like Daphne kind of way, holds the phone against her ear with her shoulder as she rifles through her bag.
Yes, Dad, I'm sure I brought it,
she muttered. She's not. She sighs and tosses the purse in the front seat.
Even if I didn't, I'm sure they have a phone charger I can use. Besides, I'm like 96% sure I won't be using it because I have my laptop and...
Carrie pouts and rolls her eyes as her father drones on the other end of the phone.
One time that happened. And look, I'm still here in one piece.
Carrie grabs her bag and opens up her car door. She closes the door behind her before walking up the front path towards the Marks house.
The development is really nice despite being deserted. Yes, I know I'm at the right place. It's the only house with lights on. Okay. Love you too. Yes. I'll call you when I leave. Okay, love you. Bye.
Carrie hangs up the phone. She walks up the front steps to the front door and knocks. Inside, the home is pristine and clean for a house with an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. It's lavish and grand. There are photos adorning the walls and the mantle of a happy family. Donna Marks, in her early 30s and even 6 months pregnant, she's smoking. Her round belly and full breasts are wrapped tightly in a little red dress. She adjusts her earrings as she walks into the foyer. Once the jewelry is clipped properly, she opens the front door. Carrie stands in the doorway and smiles at her. Donna wastes no time with introductions. Donna lets Carrie in and closes the door behind her. Donna absent-mindedly asks Carrie questions as she stirs mac and cheese on the stove in the kitchen. Carrie's kind and polite. She drops her phone in her purse and abandons the purse on the kitchen table. Donna dishes the cheesy treat into 2 bowls on the counter. She suggests heading upstairs to meet Zachary. Outside, the soccer ball rolls across the lawn, tapped by something in the dark. The ball drags across the lawn into the goal. The stranger observes Donna and Carrie in the kitchen. The trivial bonding isn't nearly as interesting as the window above the kitchen that peers into Zachary's room. Zachary, a gangly boy with short brown hair and light eyes, plays in front of his window. He pauses and looks down out the window. Zachary puts his dinosaur toys on the bed. He stares out the window. A troubled look flickers across his small face. The bedroom door opens. Zachary turns around. Donna and Carrie stand there. Carrie waves at him with a big smile on her face. Donna grills Zach on where his sister Rachel has run off to, despite still being punished for antics earlier in the day. Donna picks up a few clothing items from the floor as she speaks. Zachary shrugs.
I think Rach is giving Grover a bath. He found a skunk when we took him out.
Zachary returns. Donna sighs and excuses herself. Carrie enters Zachary's room. He picks up his dinosaurs.
You like playing with dinosaurs?
Carrie asks. Zachary nods.
Yeah, they protect me from the monster.
Zachary whispers. Carrie cocks her head to the side. She's not up for any shining shit tonight.
The monster? The one outside my window.
Zachary points. Carrie sighs. She walks to the window.
Zach, there's no...
Carrie looks out the window and stops. On the front lawn, a man in all black wearing a pig mask stares at her. He holds a sign that reads, "Run. Hide." Scribbled in dripping black. Carrie's eyes go wide.
What the
She
fuck?
She rushes to Zachary.
We have to find your mom and your sister and call the police. Come on, we have to go now.
Carrie rushes Zachary out of the room. They make it out into the hallway. The bathroom door is open. A loud slam echoes from downstairs. The front door has been opened. Zachary breaks away from Carrie and bolts.
Zach, get back here!
She hollers. She can hear the heavy boots of the intruder. Carrie looks around and panics. She hurries to the bathroom. Where is Donna? Carrie closes the door and locks it behind her. She backs up against the closed shower curtain, quiet. Carrie's head spins. Is this really happening? Carrie shoves her hands into her pockets. Shit, her phone's in her bag. Footsteps. The heavy footsteps boom as they ascend the stairs. Carrie's eyes widen and she backs up further. She hits the edge of the tub and falls back. The curtain rips down and the pole tears from the wall with it. Carrie crumples awkwardly in the tub.
Fuck!
Carrie's eyes clamp shut and she slams her hand over her mouth. Carrie turns her head slightly and looks around. She trembles. There's a shape under the shower curtain. She landed on something. Carrie lifts it up and finds Donna's corpse. Her eyes have been half gouged out with a pair of cuticle cutters which are still wedged in her torn up left eye socket. The eyeballs have been half crushed like mushed hard-boiled eggs against her face from the botched excising. Her face is smeared with blood and crimson fingertip and handprint smears. Her mouth is half open, jammed up with a steel wool pad and leaking blue Clorox. Carrie jumps from the tub and bolts for the door. She throws it open. Upon opening the door, a large, fluffy dog jumps at her. Carrie screams.
Jesus! Shh! He'll hear you!
A small voice censors from a hidden place. Carrie searches for the source of the voice and finds 6-year-old Rachel down the hall. Rachel's blonde hair falls on her shoulder in a braid. Her face is puffy and red from tears. She rushes to Carrie. Carrie shields her from the bathroom.
Don't go in there.
Carrie whispers, holding the child close. Carrie shuts the bathroom door.
We got to find Ackery!
Rachel exclaims in a hushed voice. Carrie nods. She totally forgot about the kid. They sneak down the stairs, not even seeing the peeking pig mask through the hall closet door. Downstairs, Carrie leads Rachel into the kitchen. Carrie searches around for her bag. The man in the pig mask silently descends the stairs, unbeknownst to the babysitter and child. Carrie finds her bag under the kitchen table. She bends down and rifles through it when she hears footsteps behind her. Carrie freezes. A shape looms behind her. A single tear falls from her eye. She spins around and is face to face with the pig mask. She opens her mouth to scream, but he clamps his gloved hand over her mouth. Shh! Shh! Please. A hushed man's muffled voice begs from behind the mask. He pulls the rubbery, distorted face back. He's in his mid-30s with oddly kind eyes and a few days of scruff on his handsome face. He's the man from the photos. Quiet, he insists again. Carrie nods in terrified understanding. He slowly takes his hand away from her mouth, but they both remain on the floor.
Please don't hurt me.
Carrie begs. Pig Mask cocks his head to the side in confusion. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. My name is Richard Marks. Didn't you see my sign? Richard informs. Carrie looks at him, confused.
Wait, you're the dad?
Carrie gasps. I'm not going to hurt you. Richard is interrupted as the sharp, bloodied end of a Phillips head screwdriver rips through the back of his neck out the front of his throat. Blood kisses Carrie's face. Carrie screams. Richard falls to the side, choking on his own blood. He twitches before the light goes out in his eyes. Carrie is face to face with Zachary.
Daddy never let us have any fun.
Zachary mutters flatly. Carrie sits up a bit. She opens her mouth to respond when wham! Darkness.
Ew, Ackery, quit farting!
thing.
Rachel's soft giggle heard through a dark haze.
Shut up. It's the bottle, stupid head.
Zachary retorts. Carrie's eyes open. She's still on the kitchen floor, but her wrists and ankles are bloodied, bruised, mangled, and broken, crushed by the gore-crusted meat tenderizer a few feet away from her. Her fingers are bent in all directions, and her fingernails are scraped clean off. Her hands and ankles are fleshy meat sacks full of crushed bone fragments. She screams as the pain slowly registers. Rachel gets up from something she was working on behind the island. She walks past Zachary at the stove. He continues squirting honey into the metal pot over the flame. Rachel plops herself down on Carrie's chest hard. Carrie grunts.
Rachel, help me.
Carrie tries to beg. Rachel grabs the meat tenderizer and shoves it against Carrie's teeth. Carrie whimpers.
I don't like the dentist. Do you? It's scary.
Rachel comments. Carrie's eyes shift back and forth. She can't tell if it's the blood or the metal that she can taste. Rachel presses a bit harder on the meat tenderizer. Carrie's eyes shut tight as her teeth bend inwards, bent at the gums. Carrie can feel the roots of her teeth pull taut. A pressure builds in her gum that makes her eyes water. The coppery taste of blood splashes against her tongue. Blood outlines each tooth as Rachel puts more weight down on it.
Rach, quit it. And get back to playing with Dad. I'm almost done.
Zachary snaps. Rachel gets up from Carrie. Carrie coughs and her front teeth flitter forward like flecks of paper blowing off the table. Carrie whimpers and rolls on her side. Her teeth hang by her roots. Rachel plops down on the floor to work on her project. Rachel reaches down for the hot glue gun next to her. She uses it. She picks her project up off the floor and holds it up to show Carrie and Zachary. It's Richard's head, but his eyes have been scooped out and replaced with Barbie heads. But the most disturbing part is his lips have been roughly removed to carve a forced, mangled, toothy grin.
Look what I made!
Rachel proudly squeals. Zachary smiles at his sister. Carrie inches towards her bag while they are distracted. Zachary admires Rachel's work. He sets the head on the island like a decorative candle.
I guess it doesn't suck.
Zachary comments, like any older brother would.
Thanks for helping me with the glue.
Rachel grins. Zachary nods. He looks down at Carrie. Carrie has managed to get her cell phone, but her fingers are too messed up to swipe it unlocked.
I was afraid we weren't going to get to play tonight when you saw my dad's sign.
Zachary sighs. He grabs the pot full of boiling honey off the flame. He walks over to her. He bends down and grabs her by the scalp. Zachary pins her on her back and slams her head against the floor. Carrie's eyes widen. Zachary pours the boiling hot, sticky honey all over her face. It instantly caramelizes and burns her. The honey drips into her eyes and seals them shut. She can't even scream because the honey in her throat has cauterized her vocal cords.
Dummy, can't even read.
Rachel stares down at Carrie. Zachary admires his work, an artist whose medium happens to be human suffering, as Carrie, as she slowly suffocates to death. Oh, that one's way worse. Yeah, Lex wrote it. Lex wrote this.
I did.
Yeah, this one's way worse.
This was part of a thing my husband and I did when we first started talking about this, like 31 Days of Halloween thing, where we gave each other prompts in the morning and then swapped the stories at night. And this prompt was the twist on the babysitter. Because, you know, classically babysitters are targets for, you know, scary things in general.
What made the kids so bad?
I think, well, I guess, like, there's this thing where I think people are inherently evil, and I think in like, their backstory, they were bad kids, and the dad knew. Okay. Like, he knew they were bad kids and tried to tell his wife, and he actually, like, picked them up and just dropped them off somewhere one day and just, like, abandoned them. And that's what got him, like, kicked out of the house and stuff like that. That's why she's going on dates despite being pregnant.
Yeah.
And, you know, earlier in the day, they went out with the dog when they weren't supposed to, and that's what got Donna killed because she punished them.
Oh, okay. All right.
And because this was originally a short that I wrote, and there was, like, more dialogue and stuff, but I wanted to minimize it for reading it. But, you know, these children were never told no, and in doing so, it kind of, like, fed into their sociopathy. Mm-hmm. And if anyone in the chat has seen The Equalizer, there is a scene in that movie where he goes home and he boils honey to actually cauterize a wound, and I absolutely thought, you know, what would be badass as hell is if he like pours that on someone during a fight. Like you're not gonna get back up after something like that, and he never does. And I was so heartbroken that I was like, I gotta do it in something else.
I fucking hate it. It's like when the gold crown was poured on Viserys.
Yes.
In Game of Thrones, which just sounds like a nightmare to me, to have anything boiling hot and sticky poured on you.
Yeah, because like if you've ever had like candle wax accidentally drip on you, or even like bacon grease,
that's
like
a nightmare. Yeah. Oh, that's just it. Somebody donated. Thank you for the donation.
Thank you. And yeah.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, like this is, Bruce has such a multitude of talents, and I wanted to help give him the opportunity to flex his like voice acting muscles.
It's fun. I wanted to show off your stories.
Thank you.
Your stories are freaky and scary.
Thank you.
Now's the perfect time because it's Halloween.
Yes.
So,
probably not, but you know what? So someone asked if can honey cauterize a wound. So fun fact, in order to cauterize a wound, you have to heat something to above 213 degrees.
Okay.
Which A, is a very specific number. And B, I think honey or even sugar would actually burn at that point and probably be something that you couldn't actually even use. And at that point, why not just use the pot to do the cauterization instead of a liquid?
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm not a mercenary, so...
No, but you're right though. I mean,
yeah.
like I don't know that it would cauterize, but it's still just horrible to think of it like pouring down your throat.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Cool. Well, that was it. I wanted to like make sure that you could get on here, and also your voice acting is awesome. It's so good. I love it. They were loving your voices and sound effects and all this other shit. So it's great. It's really great.
Should I do my aerosol can for everybody?
Oh yeah, you should do your aerosol. All right, so hold on. Lex can do basically exactly what an aerosol can sounds like, and she also does. She does the motion and with her tongue and everything. Go for it. I don't know. Why is it so good?
I know I've made it. I don't know. It's just like.
Let's see. Why is it so good? I don't know why it's so good.
Why can't I have like an actual skill? Like, I mean,
that's a talent.
Yes, Old Spice, if you're watching, and if you ever, need someone to get in there and dub your
deodorants,
out-axe the competition, then I got you.
Oh yeah, I'll be doing a costume stream later on, of course, around Halloween. But we'll hopefully do more of these. If like all you guys tuned in, which is awesome. Thank you again.
Yes.
And also on YouTube as well. So I'll put it on YouTube and see how it does. Hopefully it'll do well for Halloween time. So thank you for coming on, Lex.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Oh.
I want a high five.
Great.
Yeah, these were great. How many more spooky stories do you have?
I got too many, man.
I bet you do.
I got too many.
They're all rattling around in your head.
I know. Well, I guess can we ask before we leave?
Oh yeah.
Which one did you guys prefer? Just about length, like would you want something longer? Did you like the?
Do you like the story time, or did you like the I guess the stage direction, the one that sounded like a play?
Yeah, or like
first to the second, I guess.
Yeah,
the second one is definitely more visceral.
Yeah. Well, I don't see. My question is it the content or is it the medium?
Yeah, that's a good question. Gotcha. Usually, if it's easier if they're just like I assumed they wanted the second one. They want them longer.
Yeah. Because I was thinking.
Dread preferred the first one. Okay.
Because I was thinking if we ever wanted to do like Peekaboo or something.
Yeah.
The feature.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I want to get more people here, so that we can do like.
An
actual reading of it.
Yeah.
And actually, another good question for Twitch chat is, did you find it confusing when I was reading the descriptions and just basically like the different paragraphs, and she was reading just the voices? Or was that okay? Did that work well? I think it worked okay.
Yeah.
Felt like it worked okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Rudy the dinosaur. So Runhide was originally a script, but we turned it into a short story because there was a concern of
having too many people.
Yeah. There was just too much going on in that one to do two different people. And if you do the audiobook format, you can kind of be forgiven more with having multiple voices.
Yeah. that was why I had asked you to sort of convert it a little bit to that, and because if there are like 5 or 6 different people in the cast, that could get confusing if we're reading.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, Hungry Computer. There's Kisman's got a URL for it, but it's lexfusco.com.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
And
also there's coloring pages on there too, which is funny and weird.
What?
My dad has this thing called the Hero's Locker Room.
Yeah.
Where he like draws these really intricate, like like the adult coloring books. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like those. And if you like are into coloring,
on your website,
yeah, it's on the Hero's Locker Room. I'm trying to like bully him into doing it because he like draws all this stuff when he's in the hospital and just like abandons it there.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a good note from Rudy. He said maybe before the story, a short introduction to the characters.
And
I agree.
Yeah.
I think the more context we can give you guys, the better.
Gotcha. Which is why, like, for example, like, the stage directions in To Whom It May Concern, you get, like, their character description and kind of, like, who they are.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope to do this again.
I hope so, too. Hopefully you didn't mind driving out here and doing it. Cool. Let me, I'll stop the YouTube video.